Starting in a comfortable seated position, feeling our sitting bones pressing into the ground, pulling the shoulders back and down, lifting the heart, lifting from the top of the head, and then breathing all the way down, pushing that diaphragm down into our bellies. We set an intention for our practice today. It can be as simple as just intending to listen closely to our bodies, or maybe we have a particular goal that we would like to work towards, or maybe we concentrate on our breath. And then we'll open up our eyes, inhale, lengthen in the spine. And then exhale, just walk our hands around to the right. Our right hand can find a spot behind our butt. Left hand finds the outside of the knee or the thigh. Exhale, we deepen the twist. Inhale, we lengthen in the spine. And then we'll slowly come back to the center. And we'll place our hands in front of us and we'll just creepy crawl those fingers down. We use several breaths to get into our forward fold. We'll lengthen on that inhale. Exhale, we'll just creep forward. And now let's drop our head, relax in the shoulders, and just kind of round in our spine. Stay folded for another 2 breaths. Slowly, we'll walk those hands back. Come back up to seated. And now we'll take those legs and we'll change the cross in the legs. So we tend to cross our legs the same way every time. So let's switch it up a little bit, get a little crazy. Cross those legs the other directions. We may feel a little bit weird in the hips and in our legs, and that is the whole point. Not necessarily weird, but different. We'll lengthen in the spine here. And then exhale, and we'll twist over to the left. Lengthening in the spine, creating space in between all of our vertebrae as we inhale. And exhale, let that body relax so we can twist a little bit more. And then slowly coming back to the center. And then again, hands will come forward, and then another long forward fold. Creepy crawling those fingers on the exhale, lengthening on the inhale, taking our time. Maybe we feel our hips begin to relax and open a little bit more. Create some space in that low back. And then we'll lower the head, just drop it and hang. Round a little bit more in our upper spine. Shoulders are soft. And let's walk the hands back. Lifting our chest up above our hips. And then we'll inhale, lift those hands up high. And then exhale, let's just bring them to cactus arms or goalposts. Opening the elbows wide, pulling the shoulders back and down, lifting the heart. Lengthening in the neck. And now keeping our arms where they're at, we're just going to turn our hands outward as if we're pressing the walls away from us. Keeping the elbows bent at first. Breathing down into our belly. And now opening up those elevator doors, lengthening in those arms, pressing with our hands. Actively opening up in the arms, the shoulders, and the chest. And then releasing, coming back to those goalpost arms. And then inhale, back up to the sky. And now exhale, cactus arms. Inhale up. Feel that support in our back too. It's not just our arms that are doing the work. We're also supporting our whole body. Good. Inhale, lifting the hands up high. And now exhale, we'll just place them down onto the mat. We'll roll over our shins, coming up onto our hands and our knees in our tabletop. Fingers are wide, pressing into our mats underneath of our shoulders. And spread those shoulders out. Before we were squeezing them together, now we're opening them up wide. Tucking that tail just a little bit. Feel behind in your back with your hand. If we're dropping, there's going to be a dip. When we open up, maybe we touch, feel that we're using those muscles to be strong. Good. And then inhale, reaching out with our right hand, pressing back with the left foot. And exhale, we'll just bring the elbow and the knee together, tucking the chin, rounding in the spine. And then inhale, lengthening nice and long. Exhale, rounding and touching underneath. And inhaling out. Moving as slowly as we need to do to keep that balance, keep the activity in our core. Let's do one more. Exhaling, round. Life does not always have to be a speed test. Reaching here. And now let's reach back with that right hand. Try and find the toes of our left foot. Pull the shoulder back. Lift the heart. And slowly we'll release. Find that reach again. And back down to our tabletop. Good. Let's give ourselves a couple of cats and cows, rounding as we exhale, tucking the chin, tucking the tail. Inhale into our cow. Exhaling cat. Inhaling cow, dropping that tummy, lifting the heart. And then back to our neutral spine. Yardstick test from the top of our head all the way back to our tailbone. Should be nice and long. And then we'll reach out with our left hand and our right foot. Toes are pointing down toward the ground. Fingers are reaching out in front of us. And now exhale. Let's bring that elbow and the knee together. Round. As we exhale, inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we round. Moving with purpose. Let's do one more. Exhaling, we round and touch. Inhale, lengthening nice and long. And now let's reach back behind us with that left hand. Find our toes or our ankle. And gently we'll release. Reaching nice and long. And down to our tabletop. Beautiful job. Exhale, let's round into our cat. And inhale, our cow. Drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, cat. And inhale, cow. Beautiful. Back to our tabletop. And we'll bring our hips back to our heels. Hands are out in front of us still. Pressing into those fingers, keeping those hips coming down into our heels. And our chest is lifted just a little bit. So more of a statue as opposed to a child's pose. Think about tucking that tail again just a little bit. Being mindful of that low back today. Good, and we'll take that left hand and we'll touch behind our head, and we'll inhale, lift the elbow up to the sky, and then exhale, lower the elbow to touch our opposite elbow, and inhale, open up to the left, and exhale, turning toward the right, moving with our breath at our own pace, again, deliberately and safely. Let's do 2 more. And inhale 1 more time. And exhale, touch that right elbow. And then we'll just come back to the center, release the hand, back down to the mat. Bring our focus to that low spine. Lengthen all the way from the tail up to the top of our head. Good. And then we'll take that right hand when we're ready, touch the back of the head, and inhale. Open up to the right. And exhale, coming around to touch the elbow on the other side. Inhale up. And exhale down. Let's do a couple more. Inhale up. And exhale down. One more time. Opening up to the side. And exhale. Turning toward the left. And then back to the center. Releasing that right hand to the mat. Good. And then we'll come back up to our tabletop, hands underneath of our shoulders. Hips are over our knees. I'm going to reach back with that right leg, pressing back with the heel. The toes are pointing toward the ground so that we're turning that right hip to meet the left so that our hips are level here. Good. Feeling nice and long in that right leg. Now we'll take that right leg and we're going to step across the left over here to the side. Think about still pulling this right hip down just a little bit. And then we can look over the left shoulder, see if we can see the toes crossed over behind us. Begin to feel opening in the side body, in the outer hip. And then we'll release that right leg, reach it out long again behind us, and then we'll step forward into a lunge here, a little tiny lunge, lengthening in the spine, sinking down in the hips, tucking the tail, opening up that low back. Good. Let's tuck that left toe behind us. Lift the knee up off of the ground. Come up into a full lunge now, if we would like. If this is too much, we can always lower that knee back down. Good. And now let's lift up the right hand. Little twist here. Good. And back down with that right hand. And now let's inhale all the way up to a high lunge. Good. And now we can lower those hands back down. I'm going to take this left foot, make a little tiny hop forward, lower the heel down. So our left foot is at about a 45-degree angle from our right. Bending that right knee. Let's pull the left hip forward. And then we'll come up for warrior one. Pressing into both heels. Tucking that tail as if we're pulling up our pants in the front. Good. And now hands can come to our hearts or to our hips. We're going to lengthen in that right leg. Keep pulling the left leg or left hip forward and then hinging at these hips, keeping our back straight, folding forward into a bit of a pyramid. So hands can come to our thigh or to our shin. Please do not put a lot of pressure on our knee. Knees don't like to bend in that direction. We can come down to our toes or to the floor as long as we are still hinging at the hips and not rounding in the back. Good, and then slowly we'll come back to our warrior one. And then we'll lower the hands back down to our mat, finding our lunge again. Let's step back to a downward facing dog. Pedal the feet, fingers are wide, pulling the shoulders away from our wrists, lifting our hips high. Good, and then from here, all of our weight is going to go onto our left hand so that our right hand can reach back and touch the outside of our left calf or our toes, crossing over. Good, and back to our down dog. Other side, left hand can come up, touch back behind on the right leg. And back to our down dog. Good, let's inhale forward into our version of plank today. That can be on our toes or it can be on our knees. And then we'll slowly lower ourselves down. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. We can do a little cobra here. Good, let's tuck those toes, press into the hands, And come back to our downward facing dog. Lower the knees, back down to our mats. Soften the feet, find child's pose. And then inhale forward up to our tabletop again. I have not forgotten. Pressing into the hands, opening the shoulders up behind us, lengthening in the spine. Let's reach back with that left foot. Toes are pointing down toward the mat, lengthening all through our leg. Feeling our belly actively coming away from the mat. Good. And then let's take that left foot, cross it over to the right. Think about pulling that left hip forward just a little bit as the heel is going back. So we're lengthening throughout that outside of the left leg. We can peek over our right shoulder. Good. And then slowly we'll bring that left heel back behind us again. And then we'll step forward and come into our little lunge here. Wiggle our way into it. Lengthening through the front of our right hip. And then if we would like, we can tuck that right toe back behind us underneath for a full lunge. And then we can lift up the left hand, little twist. Lower down. Find our balance, and we'll inhale up to a high lunge. And lower those hands back down. Give ourselves a little hop with that right foot. And we'll come up for warrior one. Think about pulling that right hip forward so that both of them are facing the front of the mat. We're bending that left knee. Tilting that pelvis. This is the hard part, is that tilt in the pelvis. Hands can come up high. Good, and then they can come to our hearts or to our hips. We'll lengthen in that left leg and then spilling forward. So now, before we were tucking the tail, now we're spilling that pelvis forward into a pyramid. Thinking about that right hip, don't let it get lazy. Pressing both heels into the mat. Bringing the chest forward and then down. Using props when we need, so that we can get the most out of our pose. And then slowly we'll come back up to our warrior one. And then hands can come down. We'll step back to our lunge, and we'll step back to our downward facing dog. Pedal the feet. Good. Let's inhale forward into our plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, we can do a baby cobra. Or if we would like, maybe we can do a little bit higher cobra. So hands are still underneath of our shoulders. Elbows are back by our ribs. As we lift our chest, we'll use our hands more this time, but our elbows will continue to stay bent. So we don't want to come all the way up because we'll crunch our back too much. Chests are coming forward. And then slowly we'll lower back down. Give ourselves a bit of a wiggle here if we need. We'll do this one more time. Again, we can do the baby cobra, or we can come up to a little bit more of a full cobra, scooping the chest, pulling the shoulders back, lifting, using those back muscles to help instead of just only thinking of the hands. And then softening in the butt. We want to clench. Let those glutes relax. And then we'll lower back down. Good job. And now from here, let's tuck the toes, press into the hands, find our downward facing dog. Bend the knees so that we can get good length in the back. And then slowly we'll lower the knees back down to the mat, soften the feet. Find our child's pose, rounding in that low spine. Good. From here, let's walk the hands over to the right, reaching across the body with the left hand, sitting that left hip, though, nice and firmly in toward the heel. Good. And then coming back to the center. And then over to the left, reaching across with the right hand, sitting that right hip extra special low. And then we'll come back to the center. We'll tuck those toes. Lift the hips for downward facing dog. Pedal the feet, and we'll lift up that right leg for three-legged dog, pressing the heel back behind us, lengthening, pulling the shoulders away from the wrists. And then we'll kick ourselves in the bum, open up to the right, lifting the knee up toward the sky. And we'll bring the knee into our chest, coming forward, setting ourselves up for pigeon, lowering the knee down behind the wrist on the right side, softening our left foot, pulling the left hip forward. Let's do one more breath. On our next inhale, if we fold it over, come on up to our hands. And now we're going to sit down onto this right hip. We're going to bring the left leg around. We're going to take that left leg all the way around. We're going to begin to cross our knees like a lady, knee over knee as best we can, and walk those feet out to the side. And now thinking of this left hip, we want it to start to come down. If it doesn't go all the way down, we're thinking about it. We're directing that hip down in that direction. If we're happy here, we stay here. If we would like, we can fold forward, walking those hands out in front of us a little bit. Still thinking about this left hip coming down. And then we'll come back up if we folded. Hands can come back behind us. We'll unwind those legs. We can just roll on over. Legs go back behind us. And we can work our way back into our downward facing dog. Give ourselves a wiggle waggle in those hips if we need. Shake out the legs. And then left side, left foot reaching back behind us for three-legged dog. And then pull that hip down. Lengthen from tip to tip. And now we can open up that left hip, kick ourselves in the bum, lift the knee up to the sky. We'll bring that knee in, set ourselves up for pigeon on this side, flexing the left foot, lowering the knee down behind that left wrist, lengthening this right leg, pulling the right hip forward, softening its foot. And breathing deeply. Do one more breath here. And then on our next inhale, if we fold it forward, we'll come back up onto our hands. And then we'll sit down onto this left butt cheek. Bring the right leg all the way around and cross those knees, one over the top of the other for Gomukhasana. And now we're thinking of this right hip. We want it to just work its way down toward the mat. Now, if there is some gappage between your hip and the mat, you can definitely put like a little bit of a wad of your mat if you would like, or a little pillow to just kind of support it so it's not just like floating out there in space. And then if we would like, we can fold forward. And if we fold it forward, we'll help ourselves back up. Take a breath. And then our hands can come back behind us. We'll unwind those legs and we'll just bring those feet out in front of us. We can just do a little windshield wiper. We can shake them out. Good. And then we'll bring those feet out in front of us. Walk the hips underneath of us. Move all of that muscle, it's muscle, out from underneath our sitting bones so we can feel that connection to the earth. Feet are pointing up toward the sky. And then our hands are just going to start at our thighs. And again, much like we did in the beginning, we'll lengthen on that inhale. We'll creepy crawl the fingers down on the exhale. Take a moment. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we creepy crawl. Enjoy your journey. Let's do one more breath here. Lengthen on that inhale. Exhale. Maybe we fold a little bit more. And at the very tail end of that exhale, let's drop the head. Round in the spine. We'll help ourselves back up to seated. And now we'll take this left leg and cross it over the right. Ankle to ankle this time instead of knee to knee. Feeling both of our sitting bones still onto our mat. And then again, lengthen on the inhale. We'll creepy crawl our way down. Maybe we don't take as long to get down there, but we'll take our time a little bit. Get down toward those feet. If we can reach our toes, cool. If we're at our ankles, that's really cool too. And then once we get to the fold, we'll take that right hand, touch the toes or the outside of that top ankle, and we'll begin to look over the left shoulder. We can take that left hand back behind us. for a revolved fold. Keep lengthening as we inhale. We feel a little twist in the spine. We get that IT band a little bit more. And then we'll slowly come back to the center. And we'll help ourselves up. Uncross those legs and we'll go over to the other side. Ankle to ankle, right over left this time. Lengthen and fold our way down. Once we get settled into that fold, we'll begin to take that left hand to the outside of the legs. Right hand can begin to reach back behind. Just creepy crawl the fingers again. Slowly we'll come back to the center. We'll help ourselves up to the top. We'll uncross those legs if we need to. Give it a little bit of a shake or a wiggle. And we'll bend those knees. Roll up into our little ball. And we'll rock back onto our backs. Rocking back and forth. Let's rock so much so that we're going all the way to our tailbone, all the way up to the top of our neck, back and forth, and then maybe we can get all the way up onto our shoulders. Hands can come to the ground, or we can support our low back. Elbows on the floor, hands to our back. We can lift up those feet up toward the sky for candlestick. Lengthen as best we can. Maybe we can decompress a little bit. And then we'll release the hands. We'll begin to round again in the spine. Lower ourselves down. We'll find ourselves in our little egg. One more deep inhale here. And then exhale, let's release. Legs can come down to our mats. Hands can come down to our sides, palms up. We tuck the shoulders underneath of us. We close our eyes. We soften our jaw. Let our mind wander. We allow ourselves these next few moments to just be still. Deepen our breath. Slowly bring movement into our bodies, moving our fingers and our toes. Let's come into our space. When it is time, there is no rush. We can bring those knees into our chest. Roll over onto our side. And we'll help ourselves back up to seated. Rising from our Shavasana, brand new. Bring our hands together at our hearts. And we give ourselves thanks for all of the gifts that we gave us during our practice. And I'm so grateful that you joined me today and allowed me to help you through your practice. I am so grateful for your presence, for your energy, for your dedication. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.